Top 10 tiltrotors. Number 10. Mi-30. The Mi-30, also known as the Vintoplan or Soviet Osprey, is an experimental tilt-rotor military aircraft with both vertical takeoff and landing, short takeoff and landing capabilities. Originated in 1972, the Mi-30 Vintoplan was designed to hold up to 19 passengers or 2 tons of cargo. Its purpose was to replace the Mi-8 and Mi-17 helicopters. The Vintoplan Mi-30 was included in the 5-year plan in the Soviet Union from 1989 to 1995, but the vehicle never entered into production due to the collapse of the Soviet Union and its economy. Number 9. Bell XV-3. The Bell XV-3 is an American tilt-rotor aircraft developed by Bell Helicopter for a joint research program between the United States Air Force and the United States Army in order to explore convertiplane technologies. The XV-3 was first flown in August 1955. The aircraft successfully demonstrated the tilt-rotor concept, accomplishing 110 transitions from helicopter to airplane mode between December 1958 and July 1962. The XV-3 program ended in 1966. The data and experience from the XV-3 program key elements were used to successfully develop the Bell XV-15, which later paved the way for the V-20 to Osprey. Number 8. Doak VZ-4. The Doak VZ-4 was an American tilt-rotor vertical takeoff and landing aircraft built by Doak Aircraft Company in 1958 for service in the United States Army. The U.S. Army accepted the prototype in September 1959 and passed it to the NASA Langley Research Center for further testing. When Doak laid off 90% of his employees late in 1960 due to a recession in the aircraft industry, Douglas Aircraft took over the project, purchased its patent rights and engineering files. Work continued on the VZ-4 until 1963, when the U.S. Army decided to close the project. NASA later acquired the aircraft. In 1973 it was transferred to Fort Eustis and placed in storage. Number 7. Nord Aviation N500 Cadet. The Nord Aviation N500 Cadet was a single-seat tilt-rotor vertical takeoff and landing research aircraft built by a state-owned French aircraft manufacturer Nord Aviation in 1967. A model kit presenting the concept was first shown at the Paris Air Show at Le Bourget in 1965. The aircraft was driven by 2 ducted fans with 3 blades per fan mounted on short wings that were able to pivot between providing vertical and horizontal thrust. Number 6. Curtiss-Wright X-19. The Curtiss-Wright X-19 was an American experimental tilt-rotor aircraft manufactured by Curtiss-Wright Corporation. The first flight of the X-19 took place in November 1963. The X-19 had fore and aft high-mounted tandem wings, each wing mounted to propellers that could be rotated through 90 degrees, allowing the aircraft to take off and land like a helicopter. Number 5. Bell XV-15. The Bell XV-15 is an American tiltrotor vertical takeoff and landing aircraft manufactured by Bell Helicopter Company. The Bell XV-15 first flew on May 3, 1977. The XV-15 aircraft introduced a major tiltrotor design concept advance. Instead of engines in the fuselage, the XV-15 moved the engines out to the rotating wingtip pods, directly coupled to the rotors. Number 4. Bell Boeing V-20 to Osprey. The Bell Boeing V-20 to Osprey is an American multi-mission tilt-rotor military aircraft with both vertical takeoff and landing and short takeoff and landing capabilities. It is designed to combine the functionality of a conventional helicopter with the long-range, high-speed cruise performance of a turboprop aircraft. The V-20 first flew in 1989 and began flight testing and design alterations. The complexity and difficulties of being the first tilt-rotor for military service led to many years of development. Since entering service with the U.S. Marine Corps and U.S. Air Force in 2007, the Osprey has been deployed in transportation and med-evac operations. Number 3. Bell Eagle Eye. The Bell Eagle Eye was an American tilt-rotor unmanned aerial vehicle that was offered as one of the competitors in the U.S. Navy's vertical takeoff unmanned aerial vehicle program. The aircraft had its maiden flight on March 6, 1998 and then entered a flight test program. Bell had promoted the Eagle Eye for a decade without finding a buyer, but in the summer of 2002, the U.S. Coast Guard ordered the UAV as part of the service's broad deepwater ray equipment effort. It had a maximum speed of 200 knots or 370 kilometers per hour and an endurance of 5.5 hours with a 200-pound or 90-kilogram payload. Number 2. AgustaWestland W609. The AgustaWestland, now Leonardo, a W609 is a twin-engine tilt-rotor vertical takeoff and landing aircraft with a configuration similar to that of the Bell Boeing V-20 to Osprey. Capable of lifting off and hovering like a helicopter, the W609 can tilt its rotor nacelles to fly horizontally like an airplane for greater speed and range. The W609 is aimed at the civil aviation market, in particular VIP customers and offshore oil and gas operators. The first flight of the W609 took place on March 6, 2003, and almost 2 decades after, the aircraft could finally be approaching certification. Number 1. Bell V-80 Valor. The Bell V-80 Valor is a tilt-rotor aircraft being developed by Bell and Lockheed Martin for the U.S. Army's Future Vertical Lift program. FVL is meant to develop replacements for the Army's UH-60 Black Hawk, AH-60 for Apache, CH-47 Chinook, and OH-58 Kiowa helicopters. The V-80 Valor made its first flight on December 18, 2017 in Amarillo, Texas. The V-80 is designed for a cruising speed of 280 knots or 520 kilometers per hour, hence the name V-80, a top speed of 300 knots or 556 kilometers per hour, a range of 2,100 nautical miles or 3,900 kilometers, and an effective combat range of 500 to 800 nautical miles or 930 to 1,480 kilometers. Expected maximum takeoff weight is around 30,000 pounds or 14,000 kilograms. In one major difference from the earlier V-20 to Osprey tilt rotor, the engines remain in place while the rotors and drive shafts tilt.